In just a minute, and then I get a thing, custom live streaming service. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Capt Ron this week, and joining me is Lee Nix. Lee had the misfortune of flying this week and writing me all about it. And I said, guess what? How'd you like to be the guest on the show this coming Tuesday? So welcome, Lee.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to do a little bit different format anyway, because it gets lonely here all by myself. I don't like, and I talk a lot, but I don't talk to well, I probably talk to myself a lot too, but it's always better when you got somebody else to talk about or talk to. So he's going to join me, and we're going to have talk about his story a little bit here. I got a couple of things that I'll get going here right away. I'll share my screen and get this thing going. And to desktop number 3. Hopefully, oh, that didn't come up. Here. Okay, so I'm assuming you can see that, Lee. You can see the title slide there, Fearless Flight Weekly Live Show.
Yes.
Perfect. Holy cow, who'd have thought? Who'd have thunk it? So anyway, welcome everybody. As I said, my co-host here, Lee Nix, and want to welcome everybody to another edition of Fearless Flight Live. I'm Capt Ron, and we got a special show tonight, as I alluded to. Lee is my co-host, and somebody that we'll figure this out in a minute, how long we have known each other. And it's a ways, because he when we were talking, he reminded me of some things, and I saw a picture which I'll share with you of us flying together. So it's been a while. And he just got back from a trip and he lived, so that's always a good thing. And we're going to talk to him about what he's been doing over the years. I really want to thank you, Lee, for coming on. It's always nice to have somebody that's been around and been through the program for a while, just to see how you're doing. So it's a way to check in and everything. And so we'll talk about that. I do the little welcome. I'm going to talk about the birds of a feather here again, and we'll have Lee on, and he's going to stick with me. So what I'd like to do, I want to turn this more into your show for those of you out there. If you have a question or a comment and you want to talk to me live or to us live, which I really would love, I'm just going to throw out my cell phone. It's 602-315-4602. I should put that up on a slide here is what I should do. Let me see if I can't do that. I'll do it later. I'll keep mentioning it. But you can either text me, or you can call me live, and we'll put you'll be on the air one way or the other. I love getting people's questions there. So I mentioned the Birds of a Feather. It's our Fearless Flight group. It's for you people. It's free. It's on Facebook, and it's a space that's full of encouragement, success stories, and practical tips from people just like you and like Lee here. And think of it as our virtual hangar, where we hang out and we support each other. So if you haven't done it, go to this link here and join in. It's there's the main thing. You go on the page and you join, but you got to click all these little boxes so that we don't get in trouble from Facebook, and we keep everything going there. So. Okay, well, I'm going to stop the share for just a minute, and that is if I find it. Okay, Lee. Hi. So, how long has it been since we first met?
I think about 2016-ish, around there.
Yeah. It's got to be like that, way back when. And I forgot. There was something you said to me that keyed in. I knew it was way back. I knew it was way before the pandemic and stuff like that. And have you lived in Mesa here the whole time, locally?
Well, since I knew you, yeah, I've been in Mesa here, and so
Yeah.
but Yeah, yeah, and I when we first met, I was talking to you about how my dad used to have his private pilot's license,
Oh, that's
and
right. And you
yeah,
used to
and
be his
so
co-pilot, right?
well, we did, I'd go fly with him and stuff, and so I grew up around that and
Yeah.
had no problems, and flew on commercial planes, all the time, and then just out of the blue, out of nowhere, just started having these bad anxiety, just claustrophobia, panic attacks where I did not want to get on the plane, but I had to. But there was one time,
Yeah.
there was one incident where I wasn't able to. I couldn't do it, and that was the worst feeling ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully, come on. I'm going to keep showing this other silly picture. There you go. That's when we flew. You remember that?
Oh yeah, yep, yeah, to Burbank.
Yeah. And we went from here to Burbank. Did you go to the any of the classes locally here before we did that, or did you just go flying with us?
Yeah, at Sky Harbor, you did the class. It was the
Yep.
101, I think it was.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, did that, and then it was like the next weekend or so, I believe. Then we did the clear for takeoff and went over and got on the plane.
Yeah, yeah. And how long, bring everybody into this thing. So what prompted you to do that then? What made you come out of the woodwork and and go talk to a crazy guy like me?
No, it's just because I had that issue. I just I was having these anxiety, panic attacks. I'd get on the plane, everything would be fine, and I sit there, and then next thing you know, it would hit me, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to get off. I can't get on the plane. And it was just pushing through that. And then once I got through it, then I would be fine. And so that's when I was like, okay, something's going on. And so I just started,
Yeah,
looking things up, and then I found you, and lo and behold, thank God that you're it's just down the road here. I'm in Mesa
yeah,
and we're in Tempe. But so looked you up and got a hold of you, and then looking you up your coping skills and your just all the tools that you had and putting those into play.
yeah. Do you remember the terminals? Were we in terminal three then? Do you remember do you remember all, you probably wouldn't know the difference, but I've been, before now they've torn down one and two, so there's only three and four now, but I've been in every one of those terminals in the 38
Oh,
years I've been doing that. So it's always curious to me when we first met there. Doesn't make a difference, but anything like anyway like that. So
yeah.
what bothered you about flying? What was it that brought you to the class?
It was the claustrophobia of the like I can't get off. Like I'm stuck in this thing. I'm in this
Yeah,
flying tube. And I know that the pilots are competent. I know that the planes are safe. I know all that stuff. It's that claustrophobia of being stuck in there. And
yeah,
then I heard from other people that were in the class of their issues, and it's a lot of them have the same issue too, or they think in the middle of the flight they're going to freak out, and your mind's going to take over, you're going to try to open the door or something like that, it and you do freak out and you think about that, but it's never happened.
yeah. And it's people are worried about freaking out. I kind of joke with them. I
Yeah.
say you're more likely to freak in,
Oh,
in
yeah.
meaning that it's terrible on the inside, but people on the outside would probably not even notice. Matter of fact, I think there's a lot of people. I figure about 25% of the people on the airplane are just like you. They're feeling yucky on the inside, but they don't show it on the outside because that's the worst thing is if you feel like you're worried about making a fool out of yourself and whatnot. So how much have you flown since that day? You just went to Jackson Hole, right?
Yeah,
This
and then
last week, but
and the main thing was when I first met you was about going on a vacation and then flying to we flew to Seattle,
okay.
so and went on a cruise Seattle and then back, and then since uh then went just now to we flew into Salt Lake City, and
Yeah.
then flew back here, and so and I told Stephanie, my wife, that
Yeah.
I told her, I said that's it, I said from now on I've got to just maybe one flight a month and just jump on a plane and go just a little, just a short little flight.
Yeah. And this is a picture that you sent me. I got a couple of pictures there. Where this is in the airplane. Is it looks like it might be going up into Salt Lake?
Yeah, I think that one's probably actually as we were taking off from Salt Lake.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so
coming home.
what was going were you pretty calm when you did this time, or how was it?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is it's so weird where leaving home, leaving Phoenix is where I have the issues. But then when I'm sitting there at the airport, like even flying back from Seattle or when I just flew back from Salt Lake, I'm sitting there just like I'm sitting here right now.
So it's kind of much ado about nothing once you get there. It's just getting there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just pushing past. There's that peak, and it's just the most uncomfortable. Just you, I mean, people that are watching that have the anxiety that know it's just a horrendous feeling. But then once you push through it, it's a lot of self-talk, and
Yeah.
you feel better. And like I was excited, like, all right, cool. And we had a little turbulence, a little bumpy coming out of Salt Lake, and what you
Yeah.
expected because it was really cloudy. But
Yeah.
once we got up above it, then it was fine.
Was this again coming out of on the way back there or
Correct. And that picture right
yeah.
there, that's actually there's a little opening there you can see in the clouds. And if you look down far in there, then
Yeah.
that's the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And let's talk a little. I love to get into stuff where you talk about self-talk because this Thursday I have a monthly webinar that I do, and it's coming up this Thursday. And actually, the topic of that is going to be what do you say to yourself when you talk to yourself? What do you say? And so you mentioned that it's a bunch of talking to yourself. So how's what were you saying to yourself at what point did you first have to, say, okay, I gotta talk to myself and calm myself down?
Really, because Stephanie, she was already in Salt Lake for her work, and so she was there for a week, and then I was flying up there to meet her, and then from there we went up to Jackson Hole, and so I was flying solo. So I told myself, I'm like, you just had to tell yourself, like, I have no other options. There is no other
Yeah,
option. I have to
right.
go, and you
Yeah,
just basically got to put yourself to that point of going, this is it, and I admit I got so uncomfortable that I had to go to the restroom and I threw up. The nerves. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
so nerve-wracking. But once I did that, I felt fine.
And thanks for sharing that because people out there generally, when I have people like you on the show here and you just got done flying or something, they think, oh, he really wasn't that bad. But when you get to where you gotta throw up, that's pretty doggone intense. And I
Yeah,
appreciate you sharing that and coming on the show tonight. And was that after you got airborne or before you even got in the airplane?
that was before it was funny is I was so calm, I was so everything was
Yeah,
fine. Sitting at the gate here in Phoenix and not a problem. I thought, hey, I got this whipped. I'm good. And sure enough, they opened the gate to what is it, the gangway or whatever, to walk down to the plane.
the jetway.
And
Yep, yep.
yeah, and then they okay, start boarding, and as soon as like that went off, all the bells and whistles in my head just went nuts, and that's when that's when the anxiety kicked in, and I went, oh hell, and
Yeah, yeah,
that's when it kicked in. But like I said, I went to the bathroom and I was like, okay, just get it out. You
yeah,
have no other option. You have to do this. I'm not going to leave my wife stranded up there. And
yeah,
you have to set goals. You have
yeah,
to set
yeah,
goals. And so I went to the bathroom and did that, and then and I washed out my mouth, and then
yeah.
I walked back and I got in my boarding line, and I put my earbuds in and I was listening, and I told you that where I was listening to David Goggins, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He's a
yeah, and
motivational speaker. I went over and checked out his site. So yeah,
yeah, you've got to. It's just you got to distract yourself. You got to put that mindset in. And he's talking one of his podcasts that's recorded, and he says it. He goes, "Do you want to go back to the guy you were?" And he's like, "No, I don't. I want to move
yeah,
forward. I want to go and do this." So, like I said, those are goals. You have to have goals to reach
yeah, yeah.
and to fight for.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a really good point to make is listening to something that was really interesting to you because in that way you could take your mind off of that. I'm sorry that it got to the point where you had to vomit, but that's the way it is sometimes because the biology is just so strong and it just won't let go of that. So
Right. It, and I thought back to I remember when we first met and talking to you when you first started, I believe, being a fighter pilot, and you said you had to throw up in your glove.
yeah, oh gosh, I was a cadet at the Air Force Academy that summer. And I was like I was worse than you. I didn't know anything about flying. And these is an F4, which is the frontline fighters in that day. And and it was hard because that's the whole reason I went to the stupid Air Force Academy. I didn't want to be an officer. I wanted to be a pilot. And and then you get there and you got to wait 4 years. But we'd been there a couple of years and I remember looking at that thing sitting on the ramp and oh man, it looks like it could kill all by itself. And you got these fast pants, these G suit and your flight suit and all that, and you get in that sucker and they strap you in and you take off. It's not bad. And you're in a formation, which is even cooler because you can see the other airplanes in the air, which is something, yeah, you never see the average person, right? You see what that thing looks like right next to you. And then we went out and we were supposed to drop some bombs out there, and you roll in from about 10,000 feet, and you roll over 135 degrees of bank, and then you pull down to the target, and you end up
Oh, geez.
45 degrees nose low. And I mean to tell you, if you've never seen that in an airplane, when you all you see is dirt, you don't even see the horizon because it's way the hell above you. And
Oh
and
gosh.
and I say that today, but I thought I was just going to be exhilarated, and
Yeah.
I was really excited. But when he started doing that, and then you go down and you pull up, and you got 5 Gs, and you're all heavy in the seat, and then he goes up, and then he kind of levels off again, and we did that about 3 times, and each time I was getting sicker and sicker, which you well know. And by the time he got there, fourth time, by the time it's funny because it wasn't in all the maneuvering, it's when he leveled off, and now there wasn't anything holding my stomach down. And that was it.
Oh
And of course,
geez.
my pride wouldn't let me take a barf bag, and oh, it
Yeah.
was. And talk about embarrassing. Oh man. And you're just miserable. And then we went into holding because the guy I was flying with was a pretty good guy. And he tells the rest of the other three airplanes in the flight who are bombing with us. He says, oh, we're just going to hold for a while. And of course, everybody knows that I'm back there blowing my lunch.
Oh no.
So,
Uh,
yeah, so
but
it's really amazing. So I can honestly say to people, I know what it's like, and you get totally demoralized because when you
yeah.
come back, it's like, geez, if I can't fly, I'm gonna, that's the whole point. I did this, and
Yeah.
and the thing I'll say this to you and see if you can identify. In the next time we did that, I did another mission like that. And the guy was flying with, he's really a good guy. And he asked me, how'd you do? And I said, not worth a damn. And he said, he said, here's what we're going to do today. And he says, you know what the altimeter is? I did. And he said, you know how that thing rotates? I did. And he says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to roll in about 10.5, and then we're going to go down at the earth. And he says, I want you to just to call every 1,000 feet. So 95, 85, 75, 65, 55. You call each one of those 1,000 foot decreases out. And then when you get to 5,000, you say ready. And then when you see that thing get to 4,500, you say pickle. And that's when I'm going to release the bomb and then I'm going to pull back up. That's all it took for me to have something to do in my mind and I didn't get sick the second time. And he just, I don't even remember his name. He's probably dead by now because I'm old, but I tell you, I'd like to just kiss that guy's butt because he really, really reinstilled my confidence that I could do that someday.
Right.
So anyway,
That,
so you listen to podcasts. Have you been flying a lot, Lee, or
not a
just
lot, but
okay?
just a couple. And so that's what I was telling the wife that I said, you know what, I just need to desensitize myself to it and
Yeah,
just go and just get out there. And because like I said, I know that like flying back was fine, totally fine,
yeah,
just sitting
yeah,
there
yeah.
and no issues. And like I said, even once I threw up and then I got on the plane and we
Sure.
rotated. and we took off. Well, the first time I flew with you, remember
Yeah.
how same thing? I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, I got to get off. And you saw it and you distracted me, calmed me down. And as soon as we rotated, as soon as we took off the runway, all my nerves just went away.
Isn't that amazing?
It's
Yeah.
amazing. And when I told Stephanie, I said, man, the people that I was sitting, I was in between, I was in the middle seat. So I'm sure the people probably sitting next to me were like, what is this guy doing? But as soon as we rotated, I felt great. Like it was an accomplishment. And I just did a little, fist bump, like, I was just like a shake, like,
Yeah.
yes. And then the flight was perfect. And so it was funny is that if you start noticing and looking around the plane, you'll start noticing, I think a lot of people, like you're saying, have the same
Sure.
issue
Yeah. You
because
can see you're not alone. Yeah.
no, you're not, because the guy next to me, like right after we took off, he had his headphones in, he shut the window and just put his head against the wall and was
Yeah.
out. And then
Yeah.
the guy next to me, I started talking to him. He was heading to Salt Lake with his family. Kid had a soccer game and stuff, but even he mentioned, he goes, yeah, I don't like flying. He stuff. So all of a sudden it makes you almost feel more comfortable where you're going, hey, I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
that is
yeah,
comforting. It's validating. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yes,
And when you just talk about so the biggest challenge is you said it, it's not so much worried about the mechanics of the flight as it is about your airworthiness. How are you going to do with the things
right,
that you're worried about coming up, right? And and for you, unfortunately, it led to an eruption. And once
yeah.
that's gone, it was easier. But is there anything else that that you notice that you try to do, or would you do next time differently? And like you said, you didn't have any trouble coming back, right?
Right.
Or nothing like that.
And I admit, like, I mean, even still, once we got on the runway, we were on the taxiway, getting ready to get on the runway, and I just had my headphones in, and I was just listening to some of the music, and Goggins has got his stuff going, all that, and so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just kind of listening, and it's just that mind pump of you find something that really clicks with you or sticks with
yeah,
you, and so
yeah,
like once that would play, then I would just I'd hit it to replay again, and it was just kind of that affirmation of like,
yeah,
I got this, I can do this, and
yeah,
we took off and everything was good. It was kind of almost neat. We look back on the taxiway and there's a couple planes sitting behind us ready to go, and you're kind of like,
yeah.
oh, that's cool. Get to see them a little, like you're saying, it's a different perspective.
It is. It's very different when you see another airplane out there. It gives
Yeah,
you a little bit more wholer feeling thing. So
yeah,
is there anything that I mean, I don't I'm getting a vibe here that it's just whatever you can do to get something to move your attention from where it's just totally ruminating and
right.
focusing on how bad you feel to something else. And is that pretty much the secret that everybody needs to know is
You find what works for you. Like I knew that before the flight I took before, where I threw up and I felt better, so I knew, like, you know what, if I have to throw up, I have to throw up. I'm going to get so worked
yeah,
up, and sure enough, that's what happened. But that's what
sure,
got me through it. There
yeah,
might be other things. Maybe some people might take some Dramamine, try to calm them down a little bit, or
sure,
but I realized, and I thought that too. I was like, you know what, maybe I'll have a few drinks, or I'm gonna do this and that. And then I just started thinking, no, I'm gonna stay clear headed. I got to stay strong headed, and
yeah.
be in control of the situation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good for you, Lee. What is there any advice you could give somebody out there that,
Just find something that will help you. Like I said, distract you. That I took. I had the headphones in. I took some magazines. I took a word search. Just little things like that. What you're trying to do, or just look into, like, I would say big time what I did with you, or after you when I flew, was the harmonizer, because
okay.
it's distracting the brain. It's kind of,
Yeah.
you're thinking of different things.
And
That
I
was
tell
it.
people it's kind of a sledge-o-matic tool. It's kind of like if you can't beat them, join them, right? And to
Yeah.
me, it's like the opposite of a meditation. Instead of getting calm, it just says, "Okay, dude, you want to run all this crap through your mind? Here we go." And
Right.
and that's why people have a similar experience there. So you used that for a while until you could get other things of your own.
Right. And find something that works for you. Like say go on, I mean, you got, your music and stuff on your phone and
Yeah.
uh games, anything just to distraction. You got to take your mind off things. And I think a lot of it is just it's you've got to set goals. You've got to be like, this is
Yeah.
what I have to do. I've got to do this. And it's like every morning you get up and you don't just go through the motions, but there's a goal. There's something at your work. There's just
Uh-huh.
always set goals that you're striving for, and
Yeah.
it that'll help you out. It helps me out.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest surprise, if there is one for people, is that, when people first come into classes or call me or something like that, they're just at wit's end because they don't know what to do. And I tell them, you kind of got to educate yourself a little bit. You kind of got to find some way to think about something else or distract or disrupt your thinking. And I believe it helps to talk to other people to do that. And because otherwise, what I see in a lot of people, especially people that we're doing okay, and then the pandemic hit and they didn't fly for a while, and then they go back into that never land where they think it's just too overwhelming to even think about. But it is exactly what you say. It is a you can find tasks that you can do. You can find stuff that you can capture your attention with, because the whole goal is that you get control over your attention rather than giving it up to those feelings inside of you. Yeah.
Right.
Um, have you other, I mean, I know you wrote me and tell you're flying. Was that the first thing you've done with the group or anything for a while, or?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. And then and there was other things too where I saw it was just reassuring myself where like I saw my neighbor and I know that she travels a lot and
Yeah.
she does like setups for conferences, not so like one week she'll be in Boston, next thing you know she's in San Diego and then all over. And I asked her, I said, hey, I said, do you ever get anxious or about flying this and she goes, yeah, sometimes. So it makes you realize that these people that fly all the time also deal with that, so
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
alone. And
Yeah.
like I said, even the people that were on the plane sitting next to me, same issue. A lot of the people have that, and I know you're sitting there and you're looking at everybody else and you're thinking, man, I'm the only one. And Goggins says it like he's like, man, this sucks. And he goes, 90% of your life, things are just gonna suck. 10% is gonna be good. But you have to you just have to be you have to be a God, what word am I looking for? Just uncomfortable. You're gonna have to put yourself in that
Yep.
situation. It's just gonna suck, but you're gonna have to push through it because there's a goal on the other end. Man, I got to go. That's what I was saying. I was like, man, it's gonna suck at first, but I get on that plane, and next thing you know, we're in beautiful Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and getting to see moose. We
Yeah,
saw about
I
like
couldn't
10 moose
I
up
couldn't
there.
say it any better. I used to tell people, I said, "Are you willing to be miserable just one more time?" Because
Yeah,
because I say the chances are greater that you're going to have some uncomfortable times like you did, but I said it's not going to last the whole flight. That's the hard
right.
part, because
Yeah,
and this is I talk to people about memory. The way we remember things. We remember things that like you listen to a concert for 2 hours and the sound system screws up right at the end, and some people will walk out and say, concert was terrible, but they had an
yeah,
hour and 59 minutes of joy, and the last
yeah,
minute the thing screwed up, but that's the way some of us remember, and
yeah.
so that's why I've come to notice that, or come to believe that, or experience that people, when they fly, if they had a bad experience, it colors the whole doggone thing for them, and it gets over that. And that's why you're a great example of somebody you just got to push through it. The worst thing you can do is get off the doggone airplane.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is like you think about it like when you go to buy something, you look at the reviews sometimes there's a lot of great reviews, but
Yeah,
majority like Yelp or restaurants and stuff like that,
yeah,
or
yeah,
even say Amazon. Well, if you have good service, you get a good product, you just expect it and you're okay, cool. You
Yeah,
just go on about your day. But if it comes damaged, it's broke, it doesn't last long, they're going to write a review.
yeah.
So it,
And you're
like you
right.
said, yeah,
That's yeah. We tend to do that. We tend to, and that's why I read that years. Oh, this is years ago. I read that if somebody wrote a congressman, was it a congressman or a senator? I don't remember which one it was, but they counted one letter as 50,000 voters because they figured
wow,
anybody who went to that much trouble to even contact him, there were a lot of people who didn't, and
yeah,
that's kind of stuck with me. So, well, anyway, hey, and what we've changed and been doing some things different, and I wanted to just talk about this, and if you got any comments, let me know. Let me see. Oh wait, I need to share my screen one more time because I want to show people this slide coming up. And that is, oh, I have so much trouble getting this thing to do what I want it to. It hides on me. There we go. So, uh, it's funny how your experience, you just kind of came along divinely here, Lee, because I've had a lot of coaching calls, a lot of people first time talking to me here in the last couple of weeks, and they come to me kind of like you did, they want to know how am I going to get on? A lot of them haven't flown in a long time, some of them haven't ever flown, and it seems so overwhelming to them, and I try to say what you and I have talked about. You got to prepare yourself for having some misery. If
yeah,
if it really affects you, but try not to get discouraged. And then I tell them too. I say, come up with one or two things that you'll do differently than you did last time. Because if you just go to the airport hoping that it's going to be better, it's really disappointing typically. But if you go, not necessarily saying it's going to be a bad day, but just expecting the fact that you're going to be uncomfortable and get on there because it typically doesn't last. It's like holding weights out in front of you. You can't hold those weights out there forever. Your adrenaline and cortisol, it runs down a little bit. So,
right.
so this Thursday, for those of you in the Fearless Flyer Club, you get this for free. If you want to come and watch one time, it's 47 bucks. If you join the Fearless Flyer Club or Fearful Flyer Club, it's $37 each month. And then if you join, we just launched. We got part of the new stuff I've been working on the website here for the last 6 months. We've got a new version of the Clear for Takeoff 201 online course, and with that, you get you get 2 months of the monthly webinars for free. So if you're out there and you don't know what to do, come join us on Thursday. You're going to meet people like Lee here, talking, going through the same kind of stuff that you are, and I have some activities where you get to talk to some other people in the class. That's one of the most popular things people have fed back to me that they like the opportunity to do that. So I really encourage you if you haven't done this before, consider doing that with us. It's a great time, and we talk to each other about things that are of interest to you. I'll have a little bit of content to deliver there, and it's just really fun. And in the meantime, I say keep breathing, keep practicing, and keep reminding yourself you can do this, and because it's just that easy. Well, that easy for me to say maybe, but anything. Anyway, I wanted to ask you, Lee, before I let you go here, before we go tonight. Do you get caught up by anything in the media? I mean, we've gone through some accidents this year. We've gone through the government shutdown. Does that play on your mind at all?
Kind of, well, it was, yeah, because it was just I flew out, what was that, last week, we were gone. So I took off just a couple days after the whole UPS
Yeah. Oh yeah.
crash. And so I
Yeah.
was just like, oh geez. But you got to realize that, I mean, it comes down to it. Like I said, you've got to look at statistics, you got to look at self-talk, and you got to
Yeah.
go, my odds of being in a plane crash are probably around, who knows, probably the same odds as winning the lottery. I mean, it's got to be one in something million, I'm sure.
But
And
believe it or not, you're much more likely to win the lottery.
there
Uh,
you go.
yeah, and for the U.S., it used to be 1 in 11 million when I first started doing this 30 years ago. And then it went to this guy out of New York or out of MIT who does statistics, and he happened to be afraid to fly himself, and so he started looking at that as part of his job. And he came up with 1 in 33.2 million as recently as just a few years ago, and he was on as my guest again in February. His name's Arnold Burnett, and he said in the U.S. now, even with these accidents that happened this year, your odds of dying in a plane crash are 1 in over 100 million. And
Yeah.
he has some really neat little stories he's put together. One is if you're sitting there at the gate and you're seeing somebody's kids running around over there, that 12-year-old kid over there has a better chance of becoming president of the United States than you'll ever have of dying in a plane
Unbelievable.
crash. But it's just because when it happens, it is unusual, it is unique, and that's
Yeah.
why it captures everybody's attention. So
Yeah.
anyway, well, I really want to thank you, Lee, for coming on and being my guest and helping me hosting the show here. If there's anything I can do, don't hesitate for you or anybody else. And you're welcome back here anytime. And
Oh,
give me
thank
a
you.
holler. I want to thank you. I appreciate anybody who keeps in touch and gives me feedback like you did with the text messages, stuff like that. So just thanks and appreciate it. I hope you have a great week. Did your wife come back with you, or is she still up there?
Yes, no. So we flew back, but like I said, that
Okay.
was the goal. I was like, my goal was, yeah,
Yeah.
get up there. I've got to meet her. And actually, the flight up there was actually really smooth. And I ended up just kind of putting my head down and just kind of zoning out, just kind of, taking a little bit of a nap, actually, kind of,
No way.
yeah, I mean, you like if it's a nice smooth flight. I mean, especially once you get up to about what 37,000,
Sure.
but
Sure.
you get some nice clean air, and you're just
Yeah.
cruising along, and you finally get to that point where you just don't want to listen to music anymore, and it's really actually quiet, and you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm good, I'm just relaxed, and I'll tell you what, this first time flying back, we flew on the 737 Max,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and oh my goodness, that thing taking off when he hit it on the runway.
It's
That
got some kick.
man, that thing set you back in the seat.
And you were taken off out of Salt Lake too, which is about 5,000 feet. So, it's got less thrust there than it does down in Phoenix. I can't believe I almost went. Jackson Hole is one of my favorite places. I used to, my first 9 years of the airlines, I used to fly for Frontier, the original Frontier, and we went in Jackson Hole all the time. I mean, I couldn't believe they'd pay us to fly if we're at Jackson Hole, West Yellowstone, up the Yellowstone River, Riverton, Rock Springs, just Bozeman, just some of the
Wow.
most beautiful places up there. But then would you rent a car or something and drive over there, or did you
Right
to
from
Jackson?
from Salt Lake City, then we drove up to Jackson Hole. But next time, if we go back up there again, I would definitely just fly right into Jackson Hole. And oh my
Sure.
God, it's so beautiful because the Tetons are right there next to
You
you.
got Grand Teton is
Yeah,
just to the west of the city there. It
yeah,
it is amazing. And it's so stark because they got the Yellowstone River Valley there, and then there's nothing but the Grand Teton right there,
yeah.
and it's impressive. Um, what was I gonna say there? Is that the first time you've been to Jackson Hole, or had you been there before?
Back in the early '80s, so I didn't remember it. So it's best just to say that was the first time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
beautiful. That
But
that's the thing is you got to have goals to get on the plane and fly because you don't. I see it all the time on TV and people they travel and
yeah,
go on and you see these beautiful places. Don't miss out because life's too short. Don't
yeah.
miss out on it. Yep.
Well, I'm going to end there. Thanks. I agree with you. Don't miss out. Life is too short. So thanks, Lee. I appreciate it. And the best
Thank
to
you so
your
much.
wife and come back anytime. Okay. And stay
Appreciate
stay
it.
connected. Thanks, Lee. We'll see
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye. And bye-bye to all you folks out there. Next week we'll be back here at the same time for another episode of Fearless Flight Live. So have a great week, everybody.